allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the beautiful day that we've had, and thank you for the rain that we've had in increments throughout these last few weeks, and just for what it means to the crops and the farmers and all of us. And thank you for the opportunity to be here and to decide on matters that involve this community. And we've said before, we can never say enough, we don't have all the answers. And we definitely need your wisdom. And we ask for your wisdom. We ask for your guidance. And we thank you for that. And we've also celebrated our freedom in the last couple weeks. And we just thank you for this country we live in. And thank you for every man and woman that has sacrificed and continues to sacrifice for our freedoms. We're blessed beyond measure. We give you all thanks, praise, and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, Jan, if you would, roll call.
Brandon Elmore. Here. Bob Langley.
Here.
Jason Brewer.
Here.
Tim Heiss.
Here.
Peter Fritz.
All right. Trust you've had an opportunity to review the consent agenda. Are any questions or comments? And if not, I would entertain a motion.
I have one.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, the Jackson Pike improvements, and that I just want to know exactly what it was like. For around $5,600.
That's the engineering work that's constantly being done, and the right-of-way access and everything for the viaduct.
Oh, okay, at the railroad.
Recreation at the railroad. That project became a little bit stagnant as Monty was leaving and I was taking office, and it was primarily because CSX was refusing access below the footer of the viaduct. But with additional conversations and Chad conversing with the gentleman that gave us the rail tower, they surprisingly came back and gave us permission to proceed with the project. And then, so now we're starting to pay some monthly bills on that because the work's progressing, and I think it's, with NDOT, I think it's actually slated for construction in 25, I believe is the date of the project. So it's just dotting I's and crossing T's on the engineering is what we're doing.
All right. Very good. That's all I had.
All righty.
I will move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have first, we have a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Consent agenda approved as presented with no presenters. I do not have anything new at this moment to share. Jan, do you have anything? Councilmember Tim, we'll start with you.
I don't have anything.
Jason?
I do not.
Bob?
Only thing I have is there's no area planning commission meeting for July. There was
Okay.
no petitions filed. Other than that, that's it.
I needed to get work on my son. Man, you three are dark too. I know where Tim's dark because he's always outside. Steve?
Got a couple of emergency repairs. One of them is going to be in the 800 block in North Howard. We have a 30-inch storm water tile. It's 30 inches in diameter. It runs from North Howard Street through a driveway, underneath a garage, back to North Plum Street, and the other manhole is also in the driveway off of North Plum. That has been cameraed and surveyed, and it's all bad. Every joint is failing. It's single wall concrete pipe from the early 60s, and it's going to have to be emergency lined, and it's going to be expensive. And we really don't have a choice, because if we let it continue, a sinkhole has been produced in the gentleman's backyard. Our fear would be that we're going to start running into issues with the garage and the driveway and everything else if we don't act pretty quickly. Miller Pipeline was in today. They're estimating between $40,000 and $60,000 to do the work, and we're talking to two other contractors potentially get additional quotes tomorrow and Wednesday, but I'm just putting you guys on notice. We don't have a choice. We got to do it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I was befuddled when Steve shared that with me originally, how it was ever approved for a garage to be built over a line.
Probably was never really,
Probably predates area planning.
either that or.
And the line is really, really deep, so even if we chose to dig it, where's your English at? Even if we choose to dig it, it's over 16 feet in the ground on the Howard Street side, and it gets deeper going west, so that would be a deep and dangerous dig if we chose to dig it and replace it that way anyway.
Anything else?
No, we are moving the PER forward for the Parkview edition. I'll be signing the agreement with Cooley's to come in and update the camera of all those collection lines out there in the Parkview.
They'll be glad to hear that.
So I don't know what it's going to produce. They still have flooding and ponding water issues, so we are working to find resolution there. But the video that we have is too old, and HWC wants something updated because there has been some point work done out there, but not a lot. So we're going to get new and current video.
Anything else?
Cardinal ethanol. Well, I guess that's under new business. I can talk about that in a little bit.
Okay, well, moving on to old business is ordinance 2023-10, which is the ordinance to amend existing ordinance 2023-05. This is on the second reading. This was approved by you, obviously, last council meeting, and there's been no changes to that. If there are no questions or comments in the meantime, I would entertain a motion for approval on second reading.
I'll move we accept ordinance 2023-10, ordinance to amend existing ordinance 2023-05 on second reading by title only.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jason Brewer?
Yes.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
And ordinance 2023-11, which is the ordinance to rezone Emmerich's second reading for their place on Plum Street. Once again, second reading, passed initially at the last meeting, so no changes have been made since that time. I would entertain a motion if there are no questions or comments.
I'll move that we accept ordinance 2023-11, ordinance to rezone Emmerich & Sons Painting LLC, second reading.
We have first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, once again, if you would.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jason Brewer?
Yes.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
All right, begrudgingly, new business. I even used that exact same word, I think, to you in the email. You see, first item on here is the backstay, the payment of the remainder of the sidewalk installation. Agreement was made back in, gosh, I don't know what it was, 2016. It was
It's in the back.
the original
The minutes.
regarding replacing sidewalks on the backstay project. The only issue I had is it wasn't spelled out very clearly,
Yeah.
and nor was there any. There was in that process. It's my feel. I don't know what we forego when we agreed to do the project initially by agreeing to the sidewalks, but in my estimation, we should have quotes on what is considered for the sidewalk installation, including depth, width, length, you name it. And so anyway, that is where we're at. And if you recall, the meeting we had, was it last year? You put that in here too, in the packet.
Yeah.
The snippet from that.
Yeah,
That
I
was-
should have put the date of that meeting. It was
Yeah.
I thought it was from March. It's been a while.
From this thing, it was last year. I mean, were they-
Yeah, last year is what I'm saying. It was last year when
Last year.
it was before Nathan was gone.
Oh, true.
So I know it was early.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nate's name's in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, he originally pitched a cost of $128,455.71 for the sidewalk. I noted that there was $80,000 was still owed to the city by him, which remained a remaining balance of $48,455.71. I told him they would submit this to council for approval at that time, and at that point in time, we had a couple outstanding issues. Primarily, the plan for the rest of the space, the white space on the bottom floor, and then also the water issues that we were contending with, and the stormwater issues specifically at the rear of the building. And he, by his estimation, feels that he has remedied both of these issues, hence wanting payment. And of course, at that time, Nathan Conklin moved to pay $16,000 to him, but that the balance would not be paid until the completion of those remedies took place, or completion of those issues took place or were remedied. So that's where we're at. So I don't know how you guys feel in terms of those issues, whether we feel like they've been completely resolved.
It looks like there's still scaffolding and work being done, in that corner.
Yeah, I don't think the retail spaces or the rentable spaces are finished. I would say they're probably 75% done.
They don't look like it.
Then again, it's your decision. My recommendation would be to not until the last spackle, last piece of paint, and the last edging on the trim board and everything. Would be my recommendation. But again, it's your guys'.
Weren't they originally supposed to do something with the water tower too? Because I think that really looks sad too.
I agree. It kept going in and out of the proposal. It's been claimed by the ownership group that is a rustic look. It's rather.
If it was more rusted, it would look better than.
Yeah. That's
with a half a paint job on it anymore and everything.
Yeah. And again, it was supposed to be covered. It was supposed to be wrapped.
That's
was
right.
one concept,
Yeah.
and then paint was discussed, and then they decided to go with just the way it looks and just stabilize it, which it has been stabilized, but it's not. Yeah. It's. Personally, I wanted to see it painted all one color and then put like backstay lofts in block lettering up there too, because it used to say backstay. Well, I think back in the day on the tower. So I figured that would have been paying better homage to the structure. But
I think it appears, at least at this time, the drainage issues are resolved as probably as satisfactory as they're going to be. But I agree that I think the space needs to be at least on the market.
Okay.
If he can't completely control whether or not the space is occupied.
Right.
But it's not if it's.
That's not finished for use.
Demonstrate that it is leasable.
Not ready to use.
Yeah.
We've got two of the three that seem to be in agreement.
I agree 100%.
Okay, so unilateral agreement. Okay. All right.
I'd love to button that up and get rid of it, but
Yeah. Next item is ordinance 2023-12, which is the ordinance to amend Chapter 90 of the codified ordinances of the City of Union City, and that's where we enter the livestock issue on the.
Yeah, so in conversation with Ryan, he agrees that the best course of action, have you guys reviewed the ordinance in general? Mm-hmm. So there's specific animals listed. The conversation was brought up that technically horses by definition are livestock as well. The simplest fix of the ordinance is to just remove the word livestock and leave it as nuisance or nuisance animals, and then list the animals that are currently listed in the ordinance, which horses are not, so that doesn't jam us up on rodeos or parades or workhorse or anything else where horses may be used or participating in a city function. So that's the recommendation. Jan sent me the ordinance Friday, but I had already left, and then we came in this morning to an email debacle and no internet, and I got sidetracked on something else, and I didn't get that removed and produced. So we'll have that for the next meeting if that meets your approval.
And then lastly is Cardinal Ethanol.
So Brad and I went and met with Cardinal Ethanol last week. They are forecasting a relatively large increase of water needs in the near future. We, as the city, have plans to increase our water department's capabilities. All total, with the infrastructure going through the industrial park and things like that, it's roughly $30 million of improvement. What Cardinal needs is more water, and ultimately that will require more pumping capabilities, but they are begging us to do the South Water Loop as quickly as possible because that'll put more volume in the pipe. That is probably the cheapest component of the process, but it's still probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million. So we're going to go down that road, but know that we got to do all of it to completion because we have to increase pressures, we have to increase volume, we have to be able to produce more water because with the development that we're anticipating out there, and then the need for Cardinal to be looking at 1.7 to 1.8 million gallons a day, we have to increase and do more with our water department. So we have the PER, the engineering report, to do that. I meet with our engineers again tomorrow morning to make sure with Cardinal's newest information, we're planning and preparing for the future, and we're building the right plant to produce what we need to produce. But we are getting more requests for our services. So Cardinal does have an option, but they don't like that option because our water is so low in lead content after it goes through our process that they don't have to do anything with the water. If they pump it out of their wells, they basically have to invest probably millions of dollars in their own filtration system so that they can get the water to what we're delivering it at. So that's where we're at. The demand is increasing. We're able to keep up right now, but they're needing almost 2 million a day by 25. So
we got a year. That's a little over.
Yep.
Any questions?
Well, by moving forward on the South Loop, on that, that's probably the pretty time consuming in terms of, that needs to be done in a timely fashion as opposed to the plant rebuild and the additional pumping and so forth. Well, drilling wells is a little time consuming, but getting all that laid, but I would think that'd probably get us some advance in time.
The 16-inch main South Loop is the first step. It truly is. We have to be able to get them more water.
Right.
So increasing our ability to produce does nothing if I can't get it there.
Right.
I can't get them enough volume of water because of the size of lines that get out there, and they're using more water than we can put in the line. So I have to get a bigger supply line out there to them. So the original spec was a 12. We're upping that to a 16 to get them more water than we think they need. And then once we increase our filter capacity and the ability to produce more water, then we should be good to go. And all of this, just so you guys are reminded, all of this is in the packet that we're presenting with the workhorse presentation to the state, to the federal government. It's all in there, but the Cardinal Ethanol project is going to be needing it, I think, before it can be built out through the workhorse project. So for us, it ends up being a logistics issue. It's all about timing.
Right. Any other questions? All right. The day of the next council meeting will be, well, I'm sorry, I didn't ask. Do we have any visitors wishing to address? Okay, the day of the next council meeting is Monday, July 24th. That's at 6 p.m. The day of Board of Public Works is also Monday, July 24th at 1 p.m. I would hereby entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have first, we have a second.
All second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.